Hello everyone. So in the last video we have solved triangle judgment, which was 32nd question in the SQL 50 series. And in this question we are going to solve consecutive numbers. So let's dive in. Okay, so in this question we are given a logs table which has two column ID and num, where ID is the primary key for this table and ID is an auto increment column starting from 1. Okay, so find all the numbers that appear at least 3 times consecutively. We can return the result in any order and the result format is given in this example. So in this first example, you see we have IDs as an auto increment, which means for every entry, the ID is greater than the last ID. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. But what we are asked in the question is that we have to return the numbers that appear at least 3 times consecutively. So for example, you see these and the numbers appear consecutively 1, 1 and 1 at least 3 times. So the condition is that it should appear 3 times consecutively, which means that ID should be continuous 1, 2 and 3 like this. So you see 2 is not consecutive here because there is a gap with an ID of 5. So in the resulting table, we'll return only 1 as a consecutive number. Okay. So how should we approach this problem? The condition, as I said, that the condition is the IDs should be continuous. Okay. And in continuous IDs, the number that appear with respective to those IDs should be same. So in this first group, the IDs are continuous and the numbers is same. We cannot apply group by here because if we group by what? ID, then it will be 3 groups. But if we group by number, then this entry will also be grouped in this number. So group by will not tell us whether the grouped entries are continuous or not. So we'll have to use different technique. So we have to use here joins. But how many times? Because in the question it is asked 3 consecutive numbers. So we'll have to join this table 3 times. So if you join the same table with itself, okay, and then that same table with itself 3 times, then what entry should you filter out and on what condition you should join? So if you want a number that appear 3 times consecutively, the condition is that the ID should be continuous, for example, right? So if you join the table 3 times, then we want that the ID in the first table is, let's say, 1. Then we want that the ID in the second table should be 2 and the ID in the third table should be 3. So we have an entry with ID like ID 1, 2, 3, 6, 7, 8, something like this, which means an entry represent the continuous succession of 3 IDs. For example, X, Y, Z, where Y is greater than X, 1 greater than X, and Z is 1 greater than Y. Okay, that's one condition. Now the second condition is that we have this condition that X, Y, and Z. So Y is greater than X by 1 and Z is greater than by Y 1. Okay, the other condition is that the value of num in this entry in all these three table should be same. So let me give you an example by joining these three tables. So we'll have to select, let's say, everything from logs. We join logs table, logs, let's say L1 with logs L2 and logs L3. By joining this table, we'll be having lots of entries, but all of those entries are not useful for us. So we have three tables: first table, second table, and third table. And as per the requirement, we want a number that appeared at least 3 times consecutively. And for a number to appear 3 times consecutively, the IDs should be in sequence with their numbers same. And to see 3 IDs in sequence, we want that ID here it should be, let's say, X, then ID here should be X plus 1, and ID here should be X plus 2. Okay. And the other condition is that the number, these number should be same. So let's match the first condition first. That is where L1.ID, L2.ID should be L1.ID plus 1 and L3.ID should be equal to L2.ID plus 1. So if we run this query, we will see that a lot of entries which are not valid were removed automatically. So L2.ID is equal to L1.ID plus 1. Okay, so we are left with these entries in which ID On the first table is x, id on the next table is x plus 1, and id on the third table is x plus 2. So id 1, 2, 3, then 2, 3, 4, then 3, 4, 5, 4, 5, 6, and 5, 6, 7. So it's like this: 1, 2, 3, then 2, 3, 4, then 3, 4, 5, and then 4, 5, 6, and then 5, 6, 7. Okay, so these are continuous IDs. Now the other condition is that every three continuous IDs, for every three continuous IDs, if the entry has numbers respective to those IDs same, then that's the entry that we want. So for example, in the first entry, we have continuous IDs and the numbers in all these nums are same. So this is a valid entry. In the second case, we see that for ID 2, 3, and 4, that is for ID 2, 3, and 4, the numbers are not continuous. Two numbers are same, but third number is not same. And as per specification, we want a number that appear at least three times. So this entry is again not valid. Then the other entries are 3, 4, and 5. That is 3, 4, and 5. This is also not a valid entry. Then the next entry will be 4, 5, 6. This is again not a valid. Then the last entry is 5, 6, and 7, which is again not a valid entry. So the next condition is that L1 dot num is equal to L2 dot num, and L2 dot num is equal to L3 dot num. And by doing so, we'll be able to get the valid entries. So this is the only entry that we get, that will give us the valid number that appear consecutively three times in this table. So what we have to return is consecutive nums. So in this entry, number is our result, and we have to format this as consecutive num. So since we have number three times in all these three table, we can choose either one. For example, L1 dot num as consecutive nums. Okay, so our test case has been passed. Now we'll try to submit this to see whether this solution can pass all the test case or not. Okay, so our solution got rejected. Now why this happened? So let me tell you. So first of all, we will use this test case and we'll run our solution manually. Okay, and we will select everything. Okay, so for the test case 2, we got two entries. And why these two entries? So let me tell you. So for example, the first entry is 1, 2, and 3. Okay, so in this case, the IDs are in sequence and the numbers are also same. And the second entry is again this 2, 3, and 4. In this case also, the IDs are consecutive and the numbers are in sequence. And it is said in the question that at least three times consecutively. In this case, it is a group of 4 and the number appear 4 times, which means it is at least 3 times. So we have to return this number 3 as a group of these. Since we have joined the table 3 times, which means that's the basic condition. If this condition is passed by the entry, then we know that that number is the number we want. Okay. So we got two entries, and in these two entries, the IDs are in sequence, that is y is greater than x by 1 and z is greater than by y by 1. We want to return the distinct number. Okay, that's the condition in the select query. So we'll have to select L1.num and which should be distinct. Okay, so both the test case has been passed, and hopefully now this time all the test case should be passed by this solution. Okay, so all the test case has been passed. That's it.